So today is our last day talking about the order of operations in our notes. So this is section 1.3 again. This is the third day. Same old goal, same old title. We are just talking about the order of operations. So can anyone remind me before we look at some examples, what is the order of operations? Yes, so we do what first? Parentheses, that's the P. Exponents. Multiplication and division. That happens from left to right, so those are at the same time. And then what? Addition and subtraction also from left to right at the same time. Good. You don't need to write this in your notes because you should have it in your notes at least one other spot. But this is just kind of a nice way for us to review before we look at examples. Questions? Where should I start? Yeah, 4 times 4. We do our exponents first on this one since we don't have any parentheses. So P-E, exponents. So this is going to be 4 times 4, which is 16. Good. Now, I will tell you that this next step is going to get a lot of people. Does anyone know what we do next? Everyone wants to do multiplication because the M comes before the D in PEMDAS, but really that's not true. Remember, multiplication and division are at the same time in the way you read. So the division is actually coming before the multiplication here. So we still have the 5, the minus. What is 16 divided by 8? So that's a 2, and then everything else just stays the same. Then what? Now we do the multiplication. What is 2 times 2? 4. Good. And then we can do our addition and subtraction. Very similar, we just work from left to right. So what's 5 minus 4? 1. And what's 1 plus 3? 4. Very good. What are your questions on this one? This is one of those, remember, even though you think division should come before subtraction, you have to take care of the whole top and the whole bottom before you can do that dividing. So what should we do on this one? 10 minus 2, good. Some people like to put an extra, like a bracket or a parentheses up there just to show you, like, hey, we got to do this first. But yes, that is going to give us what on the top? So now we have the 8 divided by the 2, which is 4. Wonderful. Do you guys have any questions? All right, we can keep it going. Here's number 3. All right, so do you see parentheses? Yes, so we actually have to simplify what's in the parentheses first using the same order of operations that we've been talking about. So what should I do inside the parentheses first? 3 times 3, you have to take care of those exponents before you can do the subtraction. What is 3 times 3? 9, so 3 squared is 9, and then we still have the minus 8. What should we do from here? 9 minus 8. What is 9 minus 8? 1. Again, keep those parentheses. They do mean multiplication here now that we have the numbers inside simplified. So what should I do? 2 times 1, which is 2. And then I have 6 minus that 2, which is 4.
Why everything's 4?
Is everything 4?
You're recording?
I am recording. That's okay though. We can talk. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Had 4 on my brain when I was writing this. But yes, someone just said you don't really need a calculator for this. Most of the stuff in here you don't need a calculator because I know people always are forgetting them. Most of the stuff you can do by hand. It's just kind of easier if you have one. Other questions or comments? All right, here's an interesting one. All right, so again, we have a big bar that stands for division. Or you could also think of it as a fraction if that makes it easier on you. Basically, it's like saying there's a big parentheses on the top and a big one on the bottom. You have to simplify those before you can do anything with that dividing. So on the top, where should I start? 6 times 6 because we have 6 squared. Good. What is 6 times 6? So we have 36 divided by 3 multiplied by 2. Again, if you want to put a big set of parentheses to just remind yourself, like, hey, we got to focus on this first, you can. Now, I have some division and I have some multiplication on the top. How do I know which one to go with? Division, because we're working from left to right. So what is 36 divided by 3? 12, good. So then we still have the multiplied by 2 in the back. And then we still have the divided by 5. Now we can do the multiplication. So what is 12 times 2? So we have 6 minus 24. Still working on the top. And then we can divide it by 5. What is 6 minus 24? Alright, I'm going to write it up here. So we have negative 18 divided by 5. Can you actually divide negative 18 by 5 and get a whole number? No. When you can't get a whole number, see if you can reduce the fraction. Is there a number that goes into 18 and 5? No. So just leave it like this. Some people like mixed numbers. If you want to write it as a mixed number, that's up to you. If you want to write it as a decimal, that's up to you. This is how I'm always going to do it, though. So it's the easiest way. It's preventing you from doing another step. So just leave it like that. What are your questions? A lot of times in math, when students get an answer like this, they think it must be wrong. You can have answers like this in this class. It's okay. You're not always going to get nice and neat answers like 3 or 4, like we keep getting. Okay? Questions? All right, I want you to write these down and then we'll talk about it. Alright, so this is basically just to see if we can figure out when the exponents are going to give us a positive answer and when they're going to give us a negative answer. There are 2 key things you need to look for. First, where are the parentheses? And second, is your exponent even or odd? So in the first one, is the negative inside parentheses? Yes, that's when you got to think a little further, because this actually means that we're going to have negative 4 this many times. How many negatives does it take to make a positive? 2. So they cancel each other out anytime you have an even number. Like these 2 would cancel, these 2 would cancel. So if we only had 4 of them, all the negatives would go away. Do you guys agree with that? But we don't have an even number. We have an odd number. So this extra negative back here is going to make our overall answer negative. So you don't even have to tell me what all those 4s are. The only thing I'm looking for on this one is negative. So again, the parentheses mattered we were squaring a negative number and my exponent was odd, so my answer is odd. Let's look at this one. Are we taking 4 to the 5th power or negative 4 to the 5th power?
Negative 4.
Let me rephrase that. Is it like you do the 4 to the 5th power first, then you worry about the negative? Or is this negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4 5 times? What's actually being taken to the 5th power? The 4 or the negative 4? The positive 4. The way you can tell is because there's no parentheses. This negative has nothing to do with the exponent of 5. So you deal with it when you're done. So is our answer going to be positive or negative? Negative. It's going to be negative. What you actually have here is negative 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. So it's still going to be negative. So the parentheses didn't really change the outcome here. Let's look at this one though. Is this negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 7 times? Or is it just 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, then we make it negative? It's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. There's no parentheses. So it doesn't even matter what the exponent is, even or odd. The answer is going to be negative because you only have the negative that's out front. All right, what about D? D's kind of the oddball here. Is this negative 2 4 times, or is it 2 4 times, then you make it negative?
2.
Yeah, see how the negative has the negatives in the parentheses? So that makes it negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. So we have an even number of negative 2's. Everyone seeing that? So it would end up making a positive. Good. Again, we don't have to actually multiply it out. I just want to know, is the answer positive or negative? So 2 things you need to look for. Parentheses, and is the exponent even or odd? This is something we will continue talking about all year because it's kind of tricky. If you ever get stuck, just come talk to me about it. I'll help you write it out, and then I'll let you kind of figure out the answer on your own. But I will give you some guidance because it is very challenging. Any questions? All right, this is going to be our last example of the day. Then we'll do a little wrap-up conversation, and then you guys can do the rest of, spend the rest of the class period working on some homework. All right, so let's jump right into the exponents, right? 4 squared is what? 16. Then we have the minus sign. It's not in parentheses, so don't make it like negative 3 times negative 3. It's just minus whatever you get when you square 3. What is 3 squared? 9. Good. Another just a regular old minus. What is 2 squared? Good. And then another regular old minus. Back here, though, we have a negative 1 squared. So that's negative 1 times negative 1, which is 1. Don't forget that you had this subtraction sign out here. So this is minus 1. A lot of people want to say, oh, well, minus a negative, you just automatically make it a plus. You would after you handle the exponent. And then the exponent actually makes this one go away anyway. So that's why it's kind of tricky here. So still follow your order of operations. This is subtraction. This is exponents. So you got to do the exponents first. Any questions? Now we're just following order of operations from left to right. What is 16 minus 9?
7.
What is 7 minus 4? What is 3 minus 1? 2. So the answer here is 2. That's the last example we're going to look at. So I'll give you guys a second to sort of wrap up your notes. So let's wrap things up with a little true or false, sort of like a questionnaire. You don't need to write these down, just kind of soak it all in. 5 minus 4, is that the same as 5 parentheses with a negative 4 inside of it? Are those the same thing? False. This is false. Let's just talk about why it's false. What would the answer be here? What's 5 minus 4? 1. This is multiplication. What's 5 times negative 4? Negative 20. Obviously not the same, right? So saying that they're the same is a false statement. Number 2, the parentheses exist in one version, don't exist in the other version. So are they the same thing? No, this one's also false. In the first one, you do the exponents, and that's a negative 2 squared, so negative 2 times negative 2, then times the 3. In this second one, it's just 2 squared, and then you subtract that number from the 3. So these are totally different problems. Down here, 9 minus a negative 10 or 9 plus 10, are these the same thing?
Yes.
These are actually the same thing. Yes, minus a negative is the same thing as a plus. And then the bottom, we have negative 4 plus 7. Is that the same as 7 minus 4? True, that is the same. Adding a negative number is the same thing as subtracting that number. Any questions before your homework? All right, here it comes.